Alrighty, if you are joining us, we are now going to learn how to solve two-step equations, because we already learned how to do one-step equations. So, two-step equations just require an extra step. So, we have 7m minus 5 equals 23. The very first thing we have to do is get everything away from the m. But we have to do it in a certain order. So if you remember, we have PEMDAS. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Okay? Parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, add, subtract. That's the order of operations that we have to normally do. Well, when we're solving, we have to do it opposite. So instead, we have to subtract or add first, then divide or multiply first, exponents, parentheses. Okay? So, I have a multiplying and a subtraction. So the very first thing I have to do is get rid of the subtraction by adding. So I'm going to add 5 to both sides to get 7m equals 28. And then I need to divide by 7 to get m equals 4. Alrighty? So, remember, always add or subtract first. And then we'll work on the rest. So then, let's try the next one. I have 12 equals negative 7x. Wow, negative 7f minus 9. Very first thing is that I have to add or subtract. So I have to add this 9 first. So 12 plus 9 will give me 21 equals negative 7f. And then we have to divide by negative 7. 21 divided by negative 7 will give us negative 3. I'm forgetting to change colors. Sorry, guys. Alright. So, doing it this way always works when you just have a straight line of things that you need to solve for. It gets a little bit trickier when we have fractions, because fractions we actually have to multiply first, because we don't like fractions. We got to get rid of them first. So we're going to multiply by negative 3. That will cancel out our negative 3, so you get c plus 1 equals negative 21 times 3 is going to give you a positive 63. And then we're going to subtract the 1. So just like English, the rules of math change all the time, depending on what type of problem you're working with. Alright, so now look here. There's a fraction here, but everything is not over the fraction, so we can go ahead and add this 8. So we're going to add 8 to both sides to get 3 over 2a equals 19. And then, because we have our fraction times our letter, we have to multiply by the reciprocal. So that's going to be 2/3 and 2/3. So if you'll excuse me if I do not continue to cross these out and multiply them, because when we multiply the reciprocal, the whole point is just to get a by itself. So from now on, I'm just going to leave a by itself. But 19 times 2 is going to give me 38 divided by 3. And this cannot be simplified, so that's just your answer. Alright, for E, we have negative 3 equals 2 plus a over 11. So we are going to start by subtracting 2. Negative 3 minus 2 is going to give us negative 5 equals a over 11. And just like with problem C, because my a is over top of the 11, we are going to multiply 11 to both sides. So I have 11 times negative 5, which is going to give me negative 55, equals A. Alrighty. For F, we have 4 minus x equals 12. So I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides because we want to get everything away from our x. So we're left with negative x, because don't forget this was a negative at the start of the problem, equals 8, because 12 minus 4 is 8. And then remember what we said on the first video. We cannot have a negative letter. So when that happens, we divide by negative 1, which just means change the signs of everything. So that negative x becomes positive, that positive 8 becomes negative. Alrighty. For G, we have combining like terms. What are our like terms? 9x and 2x. So 9, 10, 11, x equals 22. So then we use the division property to divide by 11, and x equals 2. Alrighty. Now h is fun because we have y squared minus 2 equals 34. So the very first thing we're going to do is add 2 to both sides because I'm trying to get y by itself. So y squared equals 36. So if you don't know this, the square root is the opposite, I'm just going to put an x, of x squared. So if I'm trying to get rid of the square, I need to take the square root of both sides. So when we take the square root of both sides, we're looking for the number times itself that will give us this. So y times y gives us y squared. So we take away one of those y's, and we're just left with y. And then 6 times 6 gives us 36. So we're just going to be left with 6. And it's actually plus or minus, but we'll learn about that later on, like much later. Alrighty, and now you have learned how to solve 1 and 2 step equations. If you have any questions about any of this, please let me know.